Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. Today is Tuesday, December 8th, 2020, and today we're going to be taking a look at the electoral map based off different demographic groups across the country, pretty much setting every other voting group turnout to 0% and seeing how a specific voting group would actually lead the nation in one direction or another. So on your screen is the Cook Political Report Swingometer. You can find this at cookpolitical.com/swing, the letter O, meter. Essentially, it allows you to play with the demographic groups across the country and swing them in certain ways, adjust their registered, their expected turnout, and see what the results actually give you. So what they did was take the 2016 results and then they adjusted for demographic shifts. Overall, their swingometer ended up with a Joe Biden victory with 307 electoral votes to Donald Trump's 231. The numbers look similar, but they did not call Arizona and Georgia, and they also called Florida incorrectly. But this wasn't meant to be a prediction. This was just more so how the demographics from 2016 would have voted, translated with a couple of demographic shifts and movement across the country in terms of minority groups. So this is what the map looks like. We're going to start off from the top to the bottom and just see how different minority groups actually would direct the country. And also, we are going to be taking a look at different numbers. So I'm actually going to be using the 2020 election exit polling data just because it's a little bit more accurate than just shifted demographic groups based off the 2016 numbers. Neither of them are a perfect science, but I do think that we should be taking a look at the most recent numbers from all of these states. So we're going to start off with white non-college graduate voters. This is roughly 41.1% of the entire electorate. And actually, compared to what they expect Donald Trump to get, Donald Trump actually has decreased. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to pretty much adjust this number right here. We're going to go ahead and take it and move it down just slightly, down to 67%, because that is the expected vote that Donald Trump received based off the exit polling data. Now, that's not exactly perfect because we still will see, I think in summer next year, more perfect numbers coming out of the post-election analysis videos, and not just the videos, but studies done as well. But pretty much we see Donald Trump receiving 67% of the white non-college educated voting bloc, which is a plurality of the country. So what I'm going to do actually is just, let me go ahead and reset this just because I accidentally messed it up really quick. But we can go ahead and just adjust this again. Bring it back down to around 67, not 66, 67. We'll leave that there. We'll turn the turnout down to 0% for every other demographic group, and we can see what this actually does to the overall electoral map. And honestly, I mean, it just shows a lot of red. So I don't know if you're ready to see it, but here we go. So this is the electoral map. If white non-college educated voters were the only voting group in the United States of America, and you can see that Donald Trump receives 521 electoral votes with only the states of Massachusetts, Vermont, and the District of Columbia not voting for President Trump. 17 electoral votes. This actually reminds me of Walter Mondale in 1984. I believe that actually may have been or that may have been 1972. I might be switching it up. It might have been Nixon. No, I think it was Reagan. And you know what? I don't know why I'm mixing this up. I'm actually going to Google it right now because I don't want to be wrong about that, but that's weird. I don't know why I don't remember that. But you can look at the electoral map and you can see that when you're looking at the results, yes, it was Mondale in 84. It's solid for President Trump, and that makes sense. I mean, he's winning the vote for every demographic group. There's only one, 2 to 1. And if you're looking across the country, you see Virginia, 43-point margin of victory for Donald Trump. North Carolina, 44 points. Georgia, 62 points. This is not a 62% vote share. This is a 62-point lead over Joe Biden. Florida, plus 31. Texas, plus 55. Donald Trump even wins California, even wins Washington, even wins Oregon. Now, the closest states are Washington. You see that immediately. You see Hawaii still within single digits. You see Oregon narrowly over double digits. You're looking across the country. Are there any other portions? Rhode Island, 5.4%. Maine, double digits. New Hampshire, double digits. But then you see that Maine's first district votes for Trump actually by 0.1%. That's interesting. But Massachusetts still votes for Biden by 2.3%. Vermont votes for Biden by 11 points. The District of Columbia votes for Biden by 65 points. So D.C. is never wavering. This is the map. Donald Trump would receive roughly 36 million 36 million votes in the popular vote. Joe Biden receives 18 million overall. Very good for President Trump. Obviously, a lot of solidification. Surprisingly, some of the states that are traditionally, swing states are more competitive than we see some of these safe Democratic states. And I just think that's very interesting. So let's go ahead and move over into our next voting group. This is actually the white college-educated voters that make up, currently, actually, we don't know, so let's go ahead and reset it, 31% of the electorate. So what I'm going to do actually is just take the adjusted numbers. It actually did not get that much. In fact, it did not get better for Vice President Biden. What we're going to be seeing is that his vote share compared to Hillary Clinton's and the demographic shift was not as high as expected. He received roughly 51% of the vote here. So we're going to leave it at 51. We're going to set every other voting group down to 0% and see what that actually does to the electoral map. You can see immediately that the Democrats, are winning in that popular vote standard because they are winning amongst the only demographic group. But let's go ahead and see what that does to the electoral map. So it actually is very close. Joe Biden wins the presidency with 279 electoral votes to Donald Trump's 259. It's even closer than what our actual election results gave us. Montana would be exceptionally close, single digits. We would see Iowa return to the Democratic Party. Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, these states would all go to the Democrats. Wisconsin would be a 16.3% margin of victory. Very, I guess you could say, college-educated state. Maryland, 13 point. California, still remaining at 30. Oregon, now plus 30. Washington, plus 29. Vermont, plus 41. D.C., plus 73. So what we're seeing is that those solid Democratic states are only solidifying. And also, in some swing states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa goes to the Democratic Party. Colorado, New Mexico. Now the states that actually get a little bit more Republican compared to 2016, Texas. Not a little bit more, actually. Texas goes from plus 9 for Trump to plus 27% for Donald Trump. Georgia goes from being plus 5, plus 6 for Trump in 2016 to plus 27 points in 2020. In Florida, Trump goes from plus 1 to plus 17. In the state of North Carolina, Trump goes from plus 3.5 to plus 9.9. In Ohio, Trump goes from plus 8 to plus 14. In Arizona, Trump goes from plus 5 to Trump 9. So when you're looking, a lot of states goes to the Republican Party, some of them more so than they did in 2016. But then again, we have some other states that actually go to the Democratic Party more so than 2016. So it really all depends what state you're looking at. Overall, very close popular vote margin, less than 1 million votes separating the two. Joe Biden wins with 279 electoral votes to Donald Trump's 259. Let's go ahead and move over into our first minority group, working with black voters across the country, which is a very traditionally strong Democratic voting bloc, and it has been, and it still was in this election. So we're going to set every other voting group down to 0 before we actually reach black voters across this country, and then we can go ahead and just give it the percent that they said in the exit polls. This group voted supposedly for Joe Biden with 87% of the vote compared to let me actually reset that now. I don't know why I did that because I can't reset it without being uncertain as to whether or not it actually went through or hit the exact number from before. But bringing it down to 87% doesn't help Biden as much as it could. But then again, you do have to realize that he's still winning this voting group by, 87 to 13. So we're going to go ahead and set Hispanic/Latino voters down to 0, Asian/other to 0. And you can see the electoral map. It's what you expect. It's a 538 electoral college landslide for Joe Biden. He wins 14.3 million votes in the popular vote to Donald Trump's 2.19 million. You can see across the country, absolutely, deafening margins for Joe Biden over Donald Trump. Even Wyoming, plus 57, plus 59 points for the president-elect. So across this country, we see a number of states solidifying. There's no real competition whatsoever. There's not a single competitive state. D.C. actually, I think, is narrower than it normally is. But overall, super, super solid margins. Not anything shocking. Nothing close. Nothing close at all. Even Wyoming. I think Wyoming may be one of our closer states. But other than that, even then, actually, maybe not Wyoming, maybe Utah. But when you're looking at the numbers here, what else can you say? Democratic landslide, that's not much else to see. Just very interesting, I would think. I think that this is a very interesting map, that this is even possible. Also shows that the Republican Party has a lot of work to do, especially amongst minority voters. So let's reset all the values. Let's go back. Let's go ahead and set all of the age groups down to 0, all of the voting groups down to 0, including black voters this time. Now with Hispanic voters, Joe Biden won them with 65% of the vote, so that's a 7-point decrease. But let's go ahead and get rid of Asian/other voters and see what actually happens. So this is the electoral map, still a 538 electoral vote landslide, but the margins are a lot narrower. They're a lot narrower. We actually see, single-digit victories for Biden in Mississippi and Alabama. So when you're looking at this map, obviously it's a amazing map for the Democratic Party. They would be extremely happy with this map. This has never happened in United States history. Never once have we ever seen a candidate win all 50 states. And I mean all 50 states, so past the 1950s. So looking at Joe Biden at 538, he wins roughly 2-to-1 votes on the popular vote level. But if you're looking at a number of swing states, still Biden running it up, plus 40 points in Pennsylvania, plus 18 points in Michigan, plus 28 in Wisconsin. But then you do have some narrower states. Wyoming is single digits, Oklahoma single digits, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. I think that might be it in terms of single digit states. But when you're looking at it, obviously that's not the worst thing, but it's just not exactly this deafening landslide compared to what we saw before. I mean, both of them are absolutely, I guess you could say, deafening landslides, but it's not really the same level as if just black voters have voted across this country. So Hispanic voters would lead Joe Biden absolutely to victory, but we do see some cracks in some of these voting groups, especially in the South, because overall, that should be, every single state should be solid, but not every voting group in every single state votes the same way. So moving on to our final demographic group, Asian/other voters. So this actually includes Pacific Islanders, a number of different demographic groups. We're going to set everything down to 0 yet again. We're going to see what happens. Amongst the Asian group, Joe Biden won it with 61% of the vote. Amongst other racial/ethnic groups, he won it with 55% of the vote. So we're going to actually just average that. We're just going to, add the two together, divide by 2, and we get roughly, if I can do math correctly, let me do 61 plus 55 divided by 2, 58%. So let's go ahead and do that. I thought so. Let's go ahead and move this down to 58%, and you can actually see that it is a lot narrower than one expected, but that's just how it goes. And then this is the electoral map. So not super shocking, still a very strong victory for Joe Biden, but a lot of close states, Texas, single digits, New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana, Colorado, Missouri, Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, Iowa, all single digits, Florida, Alaska. All of these states, single digits, but still very large victory for Joe Biden. So he would receive 448 electoral votes. Donald Trump would still win some of these states. Surprisingly enough, he wins the state of Nevada. That is the only swing state. And North Carolina, actually, that's pretty shocking to see. The margin for Trump in North Carolina, 0.2. In Nevada, it's +3. So even with this type of map, the Democratic Party wins 448 electoral votes, but Donald Trump still is able to carry Nevada, still able to carry North Carolina, and an additional 69 electoral votes. Overall, this map is probably the best map out of all the minority groups for Donald Trump, but none of them actually spell out good news. So that's pretty much it in terms of the different demographic groups. This is probably a part 1 of many. There are obviously way more demographic groups, so we're going to go ahead and dissect that in future videos. But this one was just a surface level provided by the Cook Political Report Swingometer, which is very, very helpful. You can check it out on their website. I just thought it'd be interesting to make a video out of it now, so we will have a part 2. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below. Subscribe on the left if you haven't already, and check out the Instagram and Twitter. At the bottom left of the screen, there's also a Discord server for you to go ahead and join. On the screen, there's a video you can watch and then a playlist for my post-2020 election videos. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all tomorrow.